Good evening, my friends. Good evening. Hi, hello. We're back here to speak about numbers, a numerology session on our dark side. I'll be waiting for somebody to keep me company. Oh, somebody is connecting actually. So good evening, everybody. I'm using StreamYard, so unfortunately I cannot see your names in your comments. So if you will write something down in your comments, please sign it if I know you, so I can answer you properly or somehow in a better way and proper way. Thanks for being here at 9:00 p.m. Italian time for a numerology session. Hello. I don't know who's writing ciao Laura, but that's fine. Maybe Barbara. Is that Barbara? I don't know. Can't see your names using StreamYard, but I need to use StreamYard in order to show you the board, to share the screen. So we're gonna speak about numbers, and I'd like to introduce you the concept of a numerological framework. A numerological framework is made by our name, last name, and date of birth. We don't need anything else but that. And from those elements, we can really derive lots of information about our life, our talents, our failures, our challenges, our purpose in our life. So a numerology framework is a starting point. It's a project that we set before coming here on the earth again, before incarnating in what we are, in the human being we are. And we decided to challenge some part of our life, to face certain events, certain situations, in order to gain some points in our evolution, in our spiritual evolution. Why did we do that? Because have you ever wondered, why are we in this body? You know, sometimes it sort of goes, why can't I get out of here? Have that ever happened to you? Well, anytime we incarnate here on the earth, we do it because we want to integrate some parts that we haven't yet. So we set a purpose. In numerology, that the fate number, which is, I don't like to call it fate because it seems like if someone is doomed or a situation is just that and can't be changed, I like to call it my purpose number. So we decide to work, for example, on getting more flexible if we are very stiff and obnoxious persons, okay? And we do that because the purpose of our evolution, of our spiritual evolution, is to all become one and a whole. And in order to do that, we need to experiment all different roles we can in our life. So we have incarnated several times, and sometimes we've been a persecutor, and sometimes we've been the victim. When we do regress, I don't know if that has happened to you, if you had regression experiences with hypnosis, or there are several regressions experiences that do not actually need to be absent. There are also some regression experiences you do being absolutely awake. You always go to see the lives, your lifetime in which you were a victim, because it's very, very hard to see when you were a persecutor. It is emotively very, very challenging. So we always go to see our fragile part, and not when we've been the persecutor, the bad one. But we have experimented it. We need to experiment everything. And we have to experiment everything in order to become one with the whole. And what is that one? It's sort of a perfection. It's the wholeness. Is having gone through so many experiences that we have understood what actually we want to be, and we have become that. And that is unconditional love. Once we reach them, our evolution path has been completed. And once we reach that, we are just an energy, the energy of pure love. In order to reach that, and the good news is that in the evolution path, everybody is going to be that. No one will be ever left behind. Every one of us has to become pure love. So there's not good people and bad people. All people will become that. In order to become that, we have to experiment the bad side of us and the good side of us. And so in numerology, when we incarnate, we decide what we want to challenge, what side of us we want to integrate, what role we want to learn. And in order to do that, we decide our name and last name and our date of birth. And we do that because the numbers and also the letters, of course, they correspond to frequencies. And frequencies are very, very sharp. Number frequencies are very sharp. No matter where you are, no matter what language you speak, whenever you say 4, what you think is that. You cannot think of something different, no matter what language you speak, no matter how you write the 4. So you actually let in the environment a perfect frequency. So numbers are actually a universal perfect language. And among all the archetypes, because in this numerology I'm dealing with, there are the archetype. Archetype are some, how can I call them? Some categories, okay, that define the path that we have determined before getting here on the earth. Among that, there is the archetype of the shade number. We all have a shade number, and that is actually our black side, our shade side. We could say the black side of our moon, our black part, okay? And this is what is going to be the issue tonight, our black side. And I will teach you first how to figure out the number of your black side. First of all, your black side is not actually a bad side. Your shade number is just a behavior that you have in your critical moments. It is something that actually gets shaped in our first childhood because of a trauma we went through, and we're going to see for every single number what the trauma was. And from that, we derive uncertainties, fears, doubts, aggressiveness, and we have to deal with that part of us for the rest of our life. That is a sort of a something, is a sort of a part of us that actually interferes with our path, with our soul path, with the projection of our soul. And therefore, we need to deal with it and to balance that part, to smooth it, to welcome it and transform it. And we have to deal with it for the rest of our life. So it is quite important to get to know what our number is, what it stands for, what it means for us, and what we can do with it, where it comes from, what is the wound that we had in childhood that brought that to light, and also we understand, finding out what that number is, our shade number, we understand also what sort of behavior we let out when we go through critical times. Okay, so is that clear enough? I'd like to have a comment from you if that was clear enough, if you need more clarification, or if we can just go to the calculation of your shade number, the bad side of our behavior. Okay, let's see here if I can follow your comments here. Let's see that, so I can see who's speaking. That might help somehow. Let's see. So, yes, hi Barbara. Now I see the names. Okay, great. So I'll teach you how to figure out your shadow number. Ready? Let's go. There we go. Okay, you have to take your date of birth. Take your date of birth. Okay? Your date of birth is composed by 3 items: your day of birth, your month of birth, and your year of birth. Okay? Those in numerology are called partials. Your date of birth is made by 3 partials. Okay? Hi, Mariella. Hi, Paula. Nice to see you too. Now I can see you finally. Okay, now you have to reduce every single partial into one single number. How? Adding it up. For example, here you have this date of birth, August 14th, 14th of August, 1965. No, don't make the total. Don't make it. Who's making the total? No, don't make the total. Please wait. You have to add up the numbers that make up your date of birth. So your day of birth. If you have 14, 1 plus 4 makes 5. Okay? Of course, if you have 08, you have 8. And if you have 1965, 1 plus 9 is 10, plus 6, 16, plus 5 is 21. 2 plus 1 is 3. Okay? You have to sum them up separately. And you have to come out with 3 different single numbers. Okay? Do not make the total of these 3 numbers. No, that's not the shade number. Okay? Now, listen carefully, very, very carefully, okay? Take your day of birth in one number, okay? And you have to put the minus, and then you take the number of the month. So here you have 5 minus 8. It's a subtraction. So 5 minus 8 should be minus 3. But we don't care about the minus. It's not an algebraic operation. So you took the minus back and you just write 3. Okay? Then you take the number of your day of birth, reduced to one single number. So again, 5 minus the number you got adding up the numbers of your year of birth. So in this case, 5 minus 3. Okay? And here you get a 2. Then you have to subtract these two numbers one from the other. So you make 3 minus 2 and you get a 1. Again, if you have the result that is negative, which means, for example, if you had 2 minus 3, still should be 1. We don't care about the minus in front of the number. Okay? Could that be clear enough? Okay, if you get, Mariela, if you get a 22, this time you sum it up. It's a master number, but it doesn't matter. This time you do have to get single numbers in the results of all the partials. Partial is day of birth, month of birth, year of birth. This here is your shade number. Okay? If you get a 0, here, listen carefully. A 0 is actually a 9. Okay? So if you get a 0, write 9. So, Mariela, your date of birth, 1966, is 10 plus 6, 16. 22 is a 4. Okay, you have to consider it 22 as a 4. And if you did that correctly, you should come up with, let's do it all together. So, okay, you have 6 and 5 and 1966. That actually is a 22, but we consider it a 4. Okay? Then you go 6 year, the day of birth minus month of birth. And now you get a 2. Then again, day of birth minus the year of birth. Minus. And here you get a 3. Okay? 2 minus 3 is minus 1, but we don't care about the minus. We just write 1. Okay? So, could you find your numbers? No, you don't have to sum it up, Mariela. You don't have to sum it up. You have to do exactly what I did with your date of birth. Okay, could you see that? It's the only time that we do not add up numbers in numerology. It's the only time that we use the minus. Okay? So your shade number, Mariela, is 1. Could you all find it out? If you have your shade numbers, we can go to the explanation of what they mean and where they come from. Do you have them? Have you found them? Just let me know and I'll keep going on. This is the only time in numerology when we have a subtraction. Okay, is it clear how you have to work it out? Okay. Okay. Is it clear how you can do that? Okay. Why 1 plus 6? Why 1 plus 6? No. No, 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 no. No, Maria, I did it here. I did yours here. 7/5/1966. It's 7/5/22. 22, you sum it up and you get a 4. So you have 7, 5, and 4. Then you have to do a subtraction. 7 minus 5, which is day of birth minus month of birth. 7 minus 5, and you get a 2. And then you have to do again. Day of birth, 7 minus year of birth. Reduced to one single number, and that is 7 minus 4. And then you have to subtract between the two results, 2 minus 3, which is -1, or we don't care about a minus. Mariela, your shade number is 1. Okay? Okay, so I don't know what you found. We know that Mariela's shade number is actually 1. So actually, yes, your calculation was not correct, Mariela. And now I'll go through the explanation of the shade numbers. Okay? In order to do that, I will show you also the symbols of the numbers because they're very beautiful, and I'm sorry if they are in Italian, but it's not 4 minus 3. Okay, so first number 1. Okay, I'm sorry the writings are in Italian, but I will translate them for you. And number 1 is the rebel. And the keyword is uncertainty, insecurity. If you got this number, and that is your case, Mariela, your problem derives from the relationship you had with your father. In your life, in your childhood, in your early childhood, you lacked of masculine energy. Either you had a very, very present father, even too present, that somehow suffocated your exploit, the possibility for you to experiment in life, or you had a father that actually was absolutely absent. So you didn't have the possibility to experiment his strength and your strength. Either you didn't experiment his strength or he didn't let you experiment your strength. This means that uncertainty is very strong in your soul. You do feel and there's a part of you that is quite insecure, and you lack of self-esteem. Okay, you lack of self-esteem. So you do need to, you always look at the others like if you were finding approval from them. Okay, you have a sort of a feeling of being neglected somehow. And so you don't really trust yourself. So what can numerology tell you to help you out? Of course, what do you do when you are into number 1, in the manifestation of the rebel? Well, you sort of go from being absolutely stubborn and being obnoxious and being on the person that thinks that she is the only one, she or he, that is has the truth in his hands. Or on the other side, you get very, very depressed and you sort of lock yourself up at home. So the advices we can do to someone that has this shade number are, first of all, you should work on the relationship with your father, first of all. Then you have to find a balance between repression and impulse, okay? Because you do go from one attitude to the other. If you feel frustrated, just say it. Don't keep that for yourself and within yourself. Speak about it with the person that somehow created that situation. Accept and be brave enough to say what you think, even though your ideas might be not conventional, because you're original. So you're very creative. So don't be afraid of your creativity. Be brave and tell the others your ideas. Don't keep them for yourself. And you have to understand that you have to risk. You have to take risks into your life in order to achieve something. And you don't need to be waiting for the others' approval in order to go forward in your life. And you have to accept that sometimes you can be defeated in life. That doesn't mean that you are a negative, bad, or a person that cannot achieve goals. It just happens. You have to accept to be defeated in order to win. Okay, and this is what for the people that have number 1 as their shade number. What happens for those that have number 2? How many of you have number 2? Let's see. I'm strong enough. Okay, Mariella, then you probably worked on that. So, what do the people with number 2 do when they have that shade number? Well, number 2 is the orphan. And the key word is dependency. As the relationship with the father was the problem for number 1, for those that have number 2 as their shade number, the problem was the relationship with the mother. The orphan is a very emotional person and is a person that doubts a lot. So is a person that is always looking for protection. It sort of needs motherhood. That part, the motherhood hasn't been conducted correctly. So it is something that still lacks in your soul and you're still looking for it. So you need protection, and that might lead to a sort of a dependency from something, from a situation, from the people around you. It depends. And the orphan always thinks or fears that his exigencies, his needs will not be taken into account enough. So he's very scared of not being approved, of not being seen. And so what is the behavior that he might have? Well, he might either become completely dependent, or he might sort of drop everything, sort of drop out of life, be absolutely impatient, not collaborative. He also might sort of create collaboration in the shade with other people, against other people. So he might become a contrasting person. Okay. Let's see, Mariella, what she says, I felt insecure when I was a young woman. Now I love myself. I have a self-esteem and I care only of my judges and God's rules, of course. That's great, Mariella. That means that you have worked very well on your on your shade number, and you have gone through and over the challenge of your shade number. That is great. This is one of the things that numerology is for. It's not just to show us what we have to do, but it's also there to show us what we actually have done, what we have accomplished of our path. Okay, so great for you, good for you. So back to the orphan number 2. What can we say to the orphan? It is very important for the orphans to accept to have a project, more than one, but we can start just from one, and accomplish the project just by yourself. You have to understand you don't need absolutely the other all the time to get along in your life or to accomplish something in your life. Don't be afraid to be alone. Okay, balance the giving and receiving sources, because the orphan, in order to be accepted, gives too much, and so he somehow get very tired because he doesn't have a source to regenerate afterwards. He gives out too much of himself. He is a very emotional number, so he has to learn to deal with his emotions and accept them, of course. Don't idealize people, because that leads to dependency. The others have the same problems all of us have, so they're not better than you. Okay. And defend your space. It is very important to defend your space. These are the advices we can give to somebody that has number 2 as the shade number. Okay. Now let's go to number 3. Has any one of you number 3 as the shade number? Let's see in the commentaries. As you can see, number 3 is the stranger. Sorry, the writings are in Italian, but the strangers. And the key word is imitation. What does that mean? Okay. What wound that it comes from? That's the first point. You haven't been seen or considered enough in your childhood by your parents. So they didn't pay attention to you, to your needs. Or you received too much attention and you felt in the center of the world, and you want to be in the center of the world, either because you haven't been seen, and so you sort of hit you want to show yourself. Okay, so you even show off because you want to be seen. Okay. Or you haven't been seen enough, or you have been seen too much. And this leads you to a problem in the relationship. When you have a number 3, the flexibility in the relationship that is actually a source, a talent of number 3. Okay, number 3 can really relate to anyone. It's the number of communication. So if you have a 3, you're a great communicator. This means that you can always somehow set yourself in the right tune to be accepted by the other and to find a point in common with the other, so to be accepted and to be able to communicate with that person. And this is a great talent, as long as it doesn't become a way of living. Because every time you do that, you put yourself into a role. It's like wearing a mask all the time. This is why the name of number 3 is the stranger. You become a stranger to yourself. You lose your own identity. You don't show your actual identity. And that is also due because you're very scared of what you are. You feel a void inside of yourself, and you're scared of that void. You're scared of going within yourself and to find something that you don't want to look at, actually. So you always are in a role. You're never yourself. You might stay in a sort of a shallow behavior. You might be a person that has difficulty sometimes in going into things, deep into the things. You need approval. You absolutely need approval and to be accepted. You need acceptance. That's why you want to play roles, to be accepted. Okay? You might lose a lot of energies going through all those roles, wearing all those masks. And so what can we say to the stranger? What advices can we give to the stranger? Well, first of all, look at the way you relate with the others. Are you yourself or are you playing a role? Accept when the others do a compliment to you. Accept it. Okay? Don't start too many projects at once. Decide the priorities and go forward with the priorities, your most important project, not all of them, because you do not, that implies too much energy and you can't do that. Pay attention to your image, but not as much as becoming a maniac of it, but not so little as to look bad, to lose yourself, okay? And don't be scared to look at what you are. You might find out that you are a very nice person within yourself. There are not just bad things. There are surely very nice, beautiful talents. But if you don't challenge, if you don't go through the void within yourself, you cannot be able to know that. Let's go to number 4. The ones that have number 4 is the shade number, they have this card, and the keyword is the prisoner. And the archetype is the prisoner, and the keyword is necessity. If you have number 4, that originated in your life because in childhood you didn't feel stability. You felt such an uncertainty, either because there was not, even economically speaking, there was not enough. There was such an uncertainty about what are we going to eat tomorrow, or because you have felt that actually it was not really a place for you. And so you don't feel rooted on the earth in this dimension in your life. You always have the feeling that you have to survive. You have a sort of a surviving challenge within yourself. Okay? You might have had in childhood, your family, economical difficulties, or anyway, the feeling that it was hard to stay alive. So when you have this card, you're very scared of what you don't know. You like to have a path and follow that path. You like rules. You like them very much, and you like to apply to rules in anything you do. That's why the keyword is necessity, because you always say you need that. You need that. We need to do that. It has to be so. You become very strict, very stiff, very schematic, very mental, maniac about details. Okay, very scared about the changes that might occur in your life. For you, they are a problem. Something new is not something that you like. You like what you know. What can we tell to the people that have number 4 as the shade number? Well, first of all, you always had, you must, it has to be so. And this makes you a slave. Necessity is not something that we do really need. We need something that comes from our heart. I feel and I do, and not it has to be so because it makes me feel better. It gives me stability. And okay, be aware that you have created the situation you find yourself in. Look at the schemes and the patterns that you keep using in your life, in your relationship. Start having a positive attitude, a positive perspective in life. Don't be scared. Oh, these people are also very controlling, so lose your control. Let it go. Go over your control. Also, they have a good control of the money. Okay, so here, balance the way you use the money and let the past go. The people have number 4 in their life. They're very attached to their past, to the past experiences. Don't let the past influence you. Let it go. Go over it. And be open and welcome all the news that might happen in your life, all the unexpected. They might be fantastic adventures, not problems. Because you, number 4, actually leaves those as just problems, not as opportunities. Let's go to number 5. Number 5 has a keyword is evasione. It's sort of a freedom to the maximum extent. And if you have a 5, that comes because either when you were a child, you have been living in a very strict, schematic, controlling family, so you really need freedom, and then you want to experiment everything. You want to be free. Either there were no rules, and so you don't know what rules are, and you leave experimenting everything. Okay. The giravagon, this is a very beautiful word, in English is the wanderer. The one that goes around and doesn't really actually know where he or she is going. He just wanders around. Okay. This is the number that leads actually to live all the experiences to their maximum extent. So it's also the number of the one that might develop a dependency to drugs, alcohol, sex, or whatever. Okay. But surely these people want to experiment a lot. And they also have the feeling that they do not have enough time to do everything. And so they really have pressure. They feel pressure. The word evasion is evasion in English. It's very simple to understand the meaning, but it really is to a very, very extreme extent. They are always very scared to be somehow put in an angle, in a corner, and that might lead their that might somehow interfere with their freedom. They have very hard time sometimes to settle in one single job, in a family, with one single relationship. They always need to try something different. So what advices can we give to number 5s? Well, keep being rooted to this dimension. Keep being yourself and not just afraid of not being able to do what you like. You have to develop your will strength. So every day, apply to some rules, apply to something with perseverance. We can also tell number 5 not to be so aggressive sometimes, and and also to slow down. Don't be afraid not to have enough time to do whatever you want to do. You do have it, okay? Take care of yourself, of your body, of your emotional side, of your will. Take care of yourself, because number 5 sort of waste themselves. They just go through experiences so much that they lose themselves within them. And so their health might be injured somehow, might be affected by this behavior. You are free spirits, and that is fine. So be curious, be always in search of something new, but remember that you always have to accomplish things in life, not just to try and drop them. So take some things, take some projects and lead them to the end. You have to pursue some goals, not just try things. Okay, let's go to number 6. Number 6 is the martyr, and the key word is sacrifice. The martyr is a person that feels she or he didn't receive enough emotional nourishment during his childhood. And so it feels it has to nourish the others, and she or he would like to have been nourished. So it's a great nourisher, as much as to go to sacrifice himself. That's why the key word is sacrifice. Actually, beyond the sacrifice, he or she needs to receive. So the behavior, the attitude to give is just a cover up the need to actually receive. It gives to receive. Okay. It has a guilty feeling. It does have a guilty feeling, like if it had something bad within himself or herself, and that is why he or she didn't receive enough nourishment in childhood, emotional nourishment. And he also feels inadequate. Actually, the only things he or she wants is to be loved. What can we tell to a number 6? Don't always interfere with the other's life. Don't take the responsibility for the other's life. You don't control others' life so much. Look at a picture of yourself when you were a child and take care of that child. Love that child. Love yourself instead of the others, and you would like to have been loved. Experiment the joy into giving. That is something you do. But also remember that love is not a one-way street. You do have to allow yourself to receive. Don't give up. Don't give all yourself into a relationship or for a situation. Take care of yourself. Take care of your emotions. Let's go to number 7. The solitary. And the key word, the critic. Oh, the solitary number comes from the wound of feeling isolating and different when you were a child. You didn't feel accepted, and you felt like the others were considering you somebody different. So you really suffered of isolation, and that is why you don't trust life, and you don't like the world, and that is why you critic the world. You sort of get into the top of a tower, and from that tower, you criticize the word, you judge the word. And you like to be alone because you don't like to be criticized. You don't like to be judged, but at the same time, you judge the world for not accepting you, for saying that you are different. It's a number, a very mental number. So actually you might become very rational, too much rational, and not let your feelings out and constrain your feelings within yourself. It's a number that is very sharp. It's very precise. He likes to be very detailed. And if you get on top of the tower, you lose contact with the base, you lose contact with the world, you lose contact with your roots. So you have to learn that reality is not perfect, and you have to accept it for what it is. You have to allow your feelings to show, to feel them. You have to allow you to feel them, to show them, to manifest them, to share them. Don't be so judgmental. Be more open and welcoming to the others and to the fact that they might be different. Develop gratitude within yourself. Come down from your towers, put the foot on the ground, and feel that you belong to the earth. And everything is sacred, even if it's not right. Take care of yourself and take care of the world. Do not just criticize it. Then we go to number 8, the tyrant. And the key word is control. What is the wand for number 8? He had a very lack of self-esteem during his first years of the childhood, his first years of age. He felt threatened by the world, and that's why he developed such a control, to control everything. So it's a very mental number. It's a number that deals a lot with the energy of the money. It's the number 8 has really the quality with number 4 of dealing with the money. But in this case, he likes to show off if it is a shadow number. Number 8 wants to show off, wants to show what it has accomplished in life. So he loves status symbols. And he likes to have prestige, to have stimulated jobs, rules that actually can be seen even from far away, because that somehow fills up his feeling of uncertainty, his feeling of inadequacy. He is scared of not being considered by the others, and that is what happened first in life. This is the wound. What can we say to number 8? Well, stop controlling everything. Think of the feelings you have and also let them out, take them into account. And think that in life there are not losers and winners, but just people. And relax about gaining money or gaining prestige or gaining or accomplishing projects that give you status symbols. Work on your emotional level. Relax, just not work all the time. Focus on abundance. Let the other be what they are, because it wants to control everything, number 8. He wants the others to be the way it wants, and that is not possible. Accept the others and let them be what they are. Lose your control. Drop it. Let it go. And finally, we go to number 9, that is also number 0 for those that actually made the subtraction previous subtraction. Okay, number 9 is also number 0s. And the archetype is the fallen angel. And the key word is remotion. Why? Well, the fallen angel is a number that feels too much. It feels the emotions of the others and the emotions of the world so much that sometimes to survive, it has to operate a remotion of all the feelings it feels. So number 9 or 0 becomes very cynical. It becomes icy, becomes very detached, but it does it to defend itself. It does it in order to survive. And that happens because it's been dropped on its shoulder a burden or responsibility since its childhood. And so that's why it anguishes and it feels like it has to perish for the wounds of the world that become its wounds at the same time. It absorbs too much from the surrounding. Actually, if you have a 0 or a 9 in a shade number, remember that you are a very ancient soul. Very, very ancient soul. What can we say to our number 9? Okay, first of all, remember that what happens to the world doesn't need to be felt as yours all the time. You have to balance the behavior of the responsibility you take for the others. You don't need to feel what they feel in order to help them. Don't just let the others, don't just be the helping person for the others. Let also the others help you. Don't stay too long in a situation of sufferance. You need to say stop. Use your creativity. 9 is a very creative number. Just free yourself, not just by sacrificing yourself for the others, because you do that too much, so much that you need to operate remotion. Then you become icy, cynical, absolutely detached, unrecognizable. Okay. And this is the journey we've done through the shade number and the wound that has been done and that we went through in our early childhood. It comes from. Okay, so everybody, I hope this helped you a little bit to understand you a little bit more about the attitude, the difficulty you have in approaching the world and going through the world in your life, and also the behavior that you actually sort out in the critical moment. The shade number, as I said before, is not something to be criticized or is not a defect. It is just a part of us that we have to welcome and love in order to be able to transform it. So each one of us has a shade number, a black part, and that has to be taken into account and loved, because if we have it, it's because we have a wound. We need to heal that wound in order to harmonize and integrate our shade number. Okay, Thank you very much for being with me tonight. I'll be back next month with another issue. And good night and good work on your shade number. Bye-bye.